everyone, and welcome to National Treasure Hunt, the podcast where the secret lies not only with Charlotte, but also with your co-hosts. I'm Aubrey,
And I'm Emily.
and today we are following up on a very popular, both on your behalf and our behalf, episode from last season of our show. We are diagnosing character injuries in National Treasure 2 today.
Woo! I feel like we shouldn't be this excited about injuries.
I know.
But these are always really fun. I say always, it's the second time.
Mm-hmm. But there's almost definitely going to be a third because we're going to now have to do it for Edge of History.
That probably more than that, because we could do one per episode for Edge of
It's
History.
actually a really, really good point. Well, you guys, in case you somehow missed it or you're new here, back in our last season, episode 106 to be exact, we diagnosed character injuries in the first National Treasure movie, and it was way too much fun.
It was so fun. Like, I'm very excited right now.
So we're back at it today, but before we get into that, because once we get in, it's going to be hard to get back out, we should really start with our screams from Parkington Lane. All right, you know the drill. How has National Treasure crept into your life lately?
I was looking at spring baby clothes on Carter's, and I found a shirt that I feel like I need to get for Haley. That has 3 lemons on it, and
I
it
knew that's where this was
says
going.
Mom and Dad's main squeeze.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like the mom, dad, and baby, I guess, lemon. It's really cute. And I'm really excited. So I think I'm gonna purchase that.
Do, and then do it soon so that hopefully we can put a picture of her wearing it on our socials when this episode comes out.
I'll try. What
Okay.
about you?
I haven't given you a dream in a while, and I know you're clamoring for one. So I will give you a dream. And this is perfect because of some of our announcements that we have in just a few moments. It's very timely. I had a dream recently, you might call it more of a nightmare, that we were at a heist night. I think it was specifically our Jamestown heist night, like setting up, and people were starting to arrive. And we just discovered as people were arriving that we hadn't prepped the envelopes.
Hmm.
This means nothing to y'all listening because
Yeah,
unless you've been to
I
heist
was
night, you
thinking
don't know what
that.
the envelopes are. But like, Emily, how big of a deal would it be if we had not prepped the envelopes?
I think we'd be okay. We just hand things
How?
out. We could just hand things out.
No, I mean we don't have the thing that goes in the envelopes.
Oh, that's an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is why I call it a nightmare. It was not great.
Well, one thing I can say for certain is that I've never had a nightmare that is National Treasure related.
Well, you're just not deep into the pit. Not enough. And we're gonna have to work on that.
If you get deep enough, you die.
I mean, sure, yeah. I mean, we're all gonna get there eventually. Anyway, next thing on the agenda, on that very pleasant note, is our brief look back into the National Treasure Hunt archive. We have a lot of new National Treasure Hunters because of all of our America 250 events. If you're just finding us and our show, we know you're probably a little intimidated by the 170 plus episodes we have. We're going to tell you one from early on that you might want to listen to. And today, we are looking back at episode 18, Hunt for Twins. Emily, just based on the title, do you know what this episode was about?
Statue of Liberty?
No, but that's a very good guess, actually. Yeah, I don't say that often.
Credit where it's due.
Seriously, no, this was our historical deep dive into the Resolute desks.
Ooh, okay.
This was back when I was a little bit more creative with naming our episodes. What do you remember, if anything, about this episode, Em?
I did not think this episode happened this early.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
That,
fair.
yeah. That's about all I remember from.
For me, this one is very monumental because it resulted in us discovering a historical fact that is one of my regulars that I whip out of my back pocket when we are either trying to give National Treasure fun facts, or we are asked, like, what's one of your favorite things that you've learned through this project? And that is the fact that there's actually 3 Resolute desks and not just 2. So if that sounds interesting to y'all, you should go listen to episode 18 of our show.
You should, and you should also follow us on social media. You can find us on both X and Instagram at NT Hunt Podcast. Please subscribe to our National Treasure Hunt YouTube channel. We also have a website, nthuntpodcast.com, where you can find information about our books, events, and a bunch of other stuff too.
Speaking of events, you guys, I brought up my Scream that I brought up today because we do have a number of Heist Night events coming up where we want you to come see us, come engage, come interact, come play a little National Treasure inspired game with us, if you will. Our upcoming Heist Night events are first at the Westport Museum in Westport, Connecticut on May 16th. The following week, we have a heist night at the Houston Museum of Natural Science in Houston, Texas on May 21st. And 2 days later, we are, back in Washington, D.C., stomping grounds with a heist night at the Congressional Cemetery on May 23rd. You will find ticket links for all 3 of those events in our show notes today or on our website, like Emily said. Please come see us.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a blast.
Also, one more quick announcement. It is your last chance. If you are listening to this episode, like the day that it comes out, it's your last chance to sign up for the first ever National Treasure Hunt tour in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, which is running on Saturday, May 9th. That sign up link is also available in our show notes today. And this is literally history making, you guys. It's our first ever tour outside of Washington, D.C. You want to be a part of that, right?
100% you want to be a part of that. And I mean, it's in Philly.
Right.
Amazing.
100%. Also, this is by demand. Y'all want this, so come. Okay.
No pressure, though.
You told us to make it, so we did. All right, shall we do this, Emily? Shall we diagnose some injuries?
Yes, I'm ready to be a medical doctor.
Yes, yes. We'll get to our caveats in just a moment. But for those of you who are, again, new to the show, weren't here last season, we're basically going to walk through National Treasure 2, like the plot, and review the injuries that the characters could or should have incurred throughout the movie. We'll overview how the injury happened, the physical nature of the injury, how to treat it, right? If we diagnosed it correctly. And perhaps most importantly, whether the rest of the movie was feasible for the character to participate in based on that injury. I always love that part.
Yeah. Um, it's a range.
It is, absolutely. And now we get to our caveats. With a couple things we have to say before we get underway. First and foremost, do not yell at us. It was a little bit subjective deciding when the characters got injured, right? For example, a lot of crazy stuff happened during the car chase in National Treasure 2, but none of our main characters actually fell or got shot or anything like that. So we're going to say that they have really good luck and really good driving skills, and they mostly made it out of there, pretty clean.
Mostly.
Right. I mean, the villains actually had a harder time in the car chase. Second caveat. Emily, would you like to do the honors, as you've already alluded to it?
We are not medical doctors. We both have PhDs. We are not medical doctors. All of this is just in good fun.
Right. Again, don't yell at us. Number 3. We are focusing our National Treasure 2 analysis on the present day scenes. We are not diagnosing death on Thomas Gates or on President Lincoln today. Have some respect.
Okay. With that said, what's our first injury?
Okay, so I think we mostly laid this out so that you and I are kind of alternating back and forth, Em, and I have the honor of doing our first injury. And this happens at 25 minutes and 21 seconds. Before I even just describe what the injury is, can you believe it took us almost half an hour to get to an injury in this movie?
I feel like there's a lot of exposition at the beginning.
I mean, especially because we have the flashback scene, but and we do have 2 deaths in that flashback scene, but our present day characters are pretty safe for a while, and to be honest, a lot of our injuries, I think, in this movie are gonna end up happening to not our main trio. So at 25 minutes and 21 seconds, we have Patrick Gates returning home, and this is when henchman Daniel knocks him out in his doorway so that Seth can clone Patrick's phone so that Mitch can begin following and tracking Ben. Now, I've just gotta say that this one is really just fun to think about because we do know from our interview with Michael Mays, who played Daniel, um, that this was kind of a contentious scene to film.
Yeah, um, punching too hard?
Mm. Well, I'm sure you're wondering what my diagnosis is, Emily.
I am, what is it?
I'm diagnosing Patrick with a moderate to severe traumatic brain injury or TBI.
Okay. Tell me more.
All right. We do know from that Michael Mays interview that he, as the actor, was tasked with hitting Jon Voight playing Patrick on the back, right? Because he's not actually trying to give Jon Voight a traumatic brain injury. But the implication is because it looks like Patrick is getting clocked on the head. And frankly, it sounds like it's with a blunt object. And then Patrick falls to the ground. So are you comfortable assuming we're supposed to believe he was hit on the head?
Yeah. I mean, he goes unconscious.
Exactly. I mean, I guess he could have hit his head on the fall down. Regardless, he's got a TBI, you guys. He didn't have to play soccer or football to get it. Um,
I like that soccer was the first of those 2.
well, I'm pretty sure that's where I got my concussion. Have you
Okay,
ever
it's
had
more it happens more in football.
have you had a TBI before, Em?
I've not.
Okay, well, a mild TBI is a concussion. So what I'm diagnosing Patrick with here is basically more severe than that, and it can create long-term health issues that are equivalent to like having a chronic illness. Now, one of the distinguishing features between the mild TBI, which again, concussion, football, soccer, whatever, and moderate to severe TBI, so National Treasure 2, is a loss of consciousness.
Yep. Yep, that's, pretty standard.
And you mentioned that Patrick does get knocked unconscious. So
He does.
the length of this loss of consciousness determines whether this is a moderate or a severe TBI that we're dealing with. Now, we don't know how long Patrick lost consciousness. Do you have any guesses or like thinking back to that scene, would you want to take a stab at how long you think he might have been out? Context clues at all?
Like, fully unconscious? Or, like, he was unconscious and then he, like, fell asleep right after?
I I I don't know that you can how I don't know how you would have the context clues to be able to predict between the two of those.
Well, I feel like to be fully unconscious for what we see in the movie, it would be a long time, but you generally people aren't really unconscious for that long.
Well, we don't know, right, from the movie. What we do know, what I'm trying to get at here, is that it has to be at least a few hours because when he went down, it was nighttime, and when he called Ben, it was daytime. And because Ben is in Europe and Patrick is in the US, Patrick would not have to worry about waking Ben up in Europe, right? Unless Patrick was knocked out literally like a whole day, right? And now Ben is asleep. So if we assume that Patrick wakes up, is like, oh my God, I was just mugged in my own home, calls Ben, that was within a few hours of time.
Gosh. It's a really
Hmm.
long time.
So one of the things we like to do in this episode is talk about diagnosing this further. Signs of a moderate to severe TBI include difficulty thinking, speaking, or remembering things. I imagine this can get really complicated with elderly folks, and Patrick isn't young by any means, so that could make things complicated. But diagnosing this can also include vomiting, muscle weakness, headaches, balance problems, hearing and vision loss, poor mental health like depression, anxiety, being overly emotional, and behavioral changes. So, yeah, I don't know, can we relate any of these symptoms to Patrick's normal personality to see if it would be difficult to diagnose him?
He seems genuinely depressed.
Okay, so that could make this difficult. I don't disagree with you. Um, I would say I don't know if we have an overly emotional state or if it's really Ben that's overly emotional in this relationship, but I'm thinking about, like, on the University of Maryland campus when it's like, "Why didn't you tell me?" And Ben's like, "You have a tendency to overreact." And then he goes, "I'm sorry." Like, it's just, like, very polar.
Hmm.
Um, it'd be real easy if we saw him, like, throwing up.
I'm gonna assume he did.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, well, we'll see because I'm not sure. We'll find out if the rest of the movie should have been possible for him. Um, for completeness, I will also say that in addition to any persistent issues with those symptoms we just discussed, you could also, if you've experienced this moderate to severe TBI, have a long term increased risk of death by seizure, drug overdose, infection, or pneumonia. So, um, if for some reason we get a National Treasure 3 and Patrick's not in it, maybe this is why.
My gosh.
All in good fun. Did you forget our own warnings?
It just seems unlikely, but sure.
I don't know. John Boyd's getting older and it's taking 8,000 years to get National Treasure 3, so
Mhm. Okay, so what is what should Patrick have done? Because I don't think we saw him treat himself.
it's a good point. Well, depending on the severity, um, the secondary damage associated with the TBI can include inflammation, bleeding, or reduced oxygen levels in the brain. And so, to combat these potential side effects or damage, you might need anti seizure medications. And if it's really bad, you could they could need to put you in an induced coma. You could need diuretics. All of this would like help reduce pressure on the brain. And then in extreme cases, surgeries can be needed to like remove blood clots, repair the skull. Clearly that didn't happen to Patrick, right?
I guess.
Yeah, right? So this leads to our big question. Could Patrick have gone through with the rest of the movie? Um, I'm just gonna say that given that a mild TBI, i.e. a concussion, typically requires not returning to your daily activities for a few days at least, and we're saying Patrick had more than that here, he really should have taken a chill pill before participating in the rest of the movie. I would say that given his loss of consciousness, he definitely took a huge risk by not at least getting checked out at a hospital.
Loss of consciousness and also loss of consciousness for hours. Like as a neuroscientist, I cannot emphasize how uncommon that is. So if we are to believe that that time frame is true, uh, Patrick, what are you doing, my man?
Small miracles,
I'm
seriously.
stressed out about it.
Oh, great. We're in great shape and you're running the next one. So, Emily, our next scene in question happens at 39 minutes and 19 seconds. And this is during our car chase scene in London. Um, Ben, Abigail, and Riley's car slams side first into a tour bus while taking a turn at high speed. And before I ask Emily to diagnose what happened here, there are actually so few injuries, like real injuries in this movie that are distinct from the first movie that we had to get a little creative and diagnose some things that maybe we wouldn't have diagnosed otherwise. So with that being said, Emily, Dr. Black, what is your diagnosis?
Um, I'm gonna diagnose Pat, Ben Patrick, Ben, Abigail, and Riley with a whiplash.
Whiplash. All right. Let's talk about it. What I feel like whiplash is a topic that we hear colloquially quite a bit, and I don't actually know if I know like the real medical meaning of it. So let's talk about it.
Yeah, so whiplash is a neck injury that occurs due to a really forceful movement of your neck quickly in like one direction and then the opposite direction. Sometimes it's referred to as a neck sprain or a strain, but technically other things can fall into those categories as well. But just to kind of emphasize like that this could be dangerous, technically like the part of your neck and body that is being injured during whiplash is like your cervical and upper spinal cord, um,
Ooh.
which is not great. Um, so some of the kind of like symptoms of this are I guess what you would expect from a neck thing, like neck pain,
Mhm.
stiffness. You can be tired, you can be dizzy, you can have headaches. Honestly, kind of similar to TBI,
Mm.
with a lot of that. And also similarly, the symptoms can range from very minor to very severe. I will note, because this could be important later, that it could take at least 12 hours for the symptoms to occur after the initial event.
While I'm curious to hear where that gets us medically in our conversation, I will say that makes for a very unpleasant plane ride back from London to DC.
Yeah, it's not going to be great for anyone.
Uh-uh.
So, what I will say is I looked into this a little bit more because Aubrey, you mentioned this specifically when we're thinking of this scene. It's not a rear end like
Right.
collision, which is what typically occurs with whiplash. Um, this is more of a side impact
Mhm.
whiplash. And these side impact injuries are actually potentially more dangerous, particularly in a vehicle, because in a car, seats are not designed to minimize head movement from side to side. They're designed to with the headrest to minimize and like seatbelt to minimize head movement front to back. So you can still get whiplash that way too, but side to side there's like
Mhm.
nothing there. Um and that means that the symptoms potentially would be more severe with
Right.
this side impact type of whiplash. Now, there are
Interesting.
different grades of these like whiplash injuries, um, based on the context of what we see in that moment and just kind of like how severe things seem. I think they have a grade 1, which to be clear, it's like grade 0 to like grade 7 or something. Um, Basically, this means they would have some stiffness when moving, some tenderness to being touched around the area of the injury. Like, I don't want to say it's just like waking up with a sore neck, but like,
It's waking up with a sore
kinda.
neck. Okay, so does that mean that the treatment is pretty simple for
Y-
this?
Yeah, assuming that it's not serious, like, assuming that we're at
Right.
this level 1, which I think it would be, we'd be doing some pain medicine, you could be doing some stretching, um, ice, and then in more extreme cases, like, trying to minimize movement.
Mm.
Um, but it's pretty chill. I think they're all okay. So
So then I assume you're gonna say that our trio would have been just fine finishing out the rest of the movie. They do have, like, half the movie left.
I think they'd be fine. I do think it's interesting that like, we could say maybe, they didn't show any symptoms because it can take like 12 hours for the onset, but like we definitely passed that 12-hour mark by the end of the film,
Oh,
so
yeah.
they're fine. I think they should have been in a little more obvious stress or like maybe even just kind of like doing one of the like touching their necks thing more. But honestly, many people walk away from these types of whiplash injuries able to go about normal life. So, like, I don't think it's unrealistic that they did as well.
I'm imagining, one of the next scenes that happens, of course, back in the US is when Ben has to go into the Oval Office and get beneath the Resolute desk. And I'm kind of thinking, oh, he should have been like struggling to get down and like holding his head as he's going down under the desk, you know?
would have been so awkward.
No one would have known why. So, like, I get the
Mhm.
creative decision, but if we're being medically accurate, and by medically accurate, we mean definitely fake medically accurate because we are not medical doctors. We told you guys.
Okay, Aubrey, what is your next injury scene that we're gonna be talking about?
Okay, I'm excited. We're still in London. London was a rough place for National Treasure 2. This happens at 42 minutes and 46 seconds. This is when Daniel again, poor henchman Daniel, jumps into the River Thames, right, the Thames River, to retrieve the Olmec plank after Ben threw it out of the car window.
Mm. Yeah, that sounds bad. Dr. Paris, what's your medical diagnosis?
I'm diagnosing Daniel with hypothermia.
Ooh, say
So
more.
so here's the thing. I was very tempted to a jump like that could kill a man, this guy.
I did have the
Um,
thought.
because when you go and rewatch this scene, you guys, you're gonna be like, wow, did they use the same stunt performer to jump off the bridge as they did to jump off the ship in the first movie? Because it looks the form, 10 out of 10, no notes, identical. um,
Better
however,
than we would have done it.
100%, a jump like that would have killed a man for us for sure.
A woman.
Um, sure. I actually feel really good about this hypothermia diagnosis, though. And by good, I mean, like, I feel confident in it. I don't feel good about him getting hypothermia. To be clear.
I mean, he is a villain.
Yeah, but I like Michael Mays a lot. So,
Okay.
um, here's my thing. We know that the whole London shtick happened before Easter, right?
Mhm.
Because we're going to go to the Easter egg roll in DC after this. I looked it up. Easter in 2007 was on April 8th. Okay? So let's say that this little shenanigan took place in late March. This is what you come to National Treasure Hunt for, right, you guys? The water temperature of the Thames River in March is 46 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit, which is around 8 to 10 degrees Celsius. When water is below 50 degrees Fahrenheit, hypothermia sets in after 15 to 30 minutes. And given that Daniel jumped into the river from the center of the bridge, it would take him at least 15 minutes to swim ashore, especially when battling the current. Okay? Now, the
Mm.
technical definition of hypothermia is your body temperature dropping below 95 degrees Fahrenheit or 35 degrees Celsius. Now, your body loses heat faster than it can produce it in this case. That is what is causing your hypothermia. All right. Are we on the same page?
Yeah. I didn't know any of this. I'm so glad I have this information now.
Fun fact, I almost had hypothermia once when I was a kid at the Jersey Shore. Hi,
Oh
mom.
my gosh. What
All right.
symptoms did you have, Aubrey?
My symptoms included shivering, slurred speech, shallow breathing, right? Drowsiness for sure, and then other possible symptoms that I cannot personally attest to, but maybe Daniel could include a weak pulse and confusion.
Hmm. I feel like this happens to you a lot, not
I know.
water related.
Yeah, it's just like typically water's the villain. Let's
Water's the
be real.
villain.
Seriously. Villain on villain crime here in
I
this
have
movie.
more. I have more on water.
So do I actually. This is going to be so fun. I will say, interestingly, if you find yourself in extremely cold water, it is advised that you stay put as opposed to trying to swim because swimming takes the energy needed to generate warmth by your body. So
Don't listen to us for medical advice.
right, but this is what like the Mayo Clinic tells me, so I'm gonna trust them.
Don't listen to us for medical advice. Please don't sue us. Look it up for yourself and determine for yourself if you trust it. Thank you.
Consult with your doctor. Um, what
It was just good. It sounded like you were on a drug
commercial?
commercial. Mhm.
Thank you. Okay, let's
Treatment.
talk Treatment, indeed. Of course, like all these things that we've already talked about today, your treatment depends on the severity of your case. Basically, you need to raise the body temperature efficiently but safely. So, if the case is mild, heated blankets and warm beverages could be enough. But if you have a more severe case of hypothermia, you could actually require blood rewarming through a dialysis type mechanism, a warm IV, or even humidified oxygen.
Mm.
So, yeah,
Okay, so then, I mean, this is not the last we see of Daniel.
nope.
Is it realistic that he went through the rest of the film?
Assuming this was a mild case of hypothermia, then yes. And
Okay.
yeah, I mean, let's in my own again personal context, as I was like on the verge of hypothermia, I just like slept for the car ride home back to my house from the Jersey Shore, which was like an hour long, because again drowsy, and I was fine later. So,
Okay. Good to know.
okay, are we ready for the next one?
Yes, let's do it.
The next one happens like 45 minutes later. This is
Yeah.
going to be at 1 hour, 32 minutes, and 33 seconds. We have Ben, Riley, Abigail, and Mitch falling through a trapdoor onto the tilt platform, Emily's favorite. Um, because this is multiple characters, let's spotlight Riley because he in particular seems to very clearly, like visually, land hard on his arm. So, Dr. Emily Black, how are you diagnosing Riley's sad injury today?
Not that sad, I guess. I think he probably just has a shoulder contusion. It sounds bad, but it's not.
Is that different than what Abigail had in the first movie when she got hit by a bike?
Yeah, Abigail, we talked about her like potentially having like a sprain.
Oh, okay.
This is different. This is
Okay.
less less bad.
Okay.
For reference, a shoulder contusion is basically a bruise.
Mhm.
A
Mhm.
contusion is basically a bruise.
So, I know this term because it's very common when you see the, like, injured list report for, like, baseball players, they get hit by a pitch and they have to go on the injured list. It's an arm contusion instead of just saying a
Mhm.
bruised arm, right?
Yeah. So I mean it sounds fancy. Riley hurt his arm. I get bruises all the time. He's probably
Famously.
fine. Obviously is fine. But just to kind of make this full scale, I don't have a ton to say on it because realistically it is a bruised shoulder. Um the, some of the symptoms involve pain and swelling at the shoulder joint resulting from this like acute injury. On Riley, this was his left shoulder, or sorry, no, this was his right shoulder. I'm picturing it in my head. He did have a backpack on. So for some reason, that huge backpack that they never use. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. Maybe the backpack helped to like,
Cushion
make his
his fall?
fall. Yeah, cushion his fall. The backpack was not under his shoulder when
Oh.
it hit the ground. It was like shifted. So
So that backpack literally had no use this whole movie.
it made him look cool.
Okay. It made him look like Ben's lackey like he often does.
It did. It did. Basically, like the main thing that happens from this, aside from like a bruise, is that proper arm movement could become painful.
Oh, this is
Could.
gonna but if this could be a problem, right? Because he has to jump onto that hanging ladder and hold
It
himself
should be a
up.
problem. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, okay, I'm sorry, I'm jumping the gun. I get excited about these things. So, treatment for a bruise is ice, right?
Rest, ice, compression, elevation, all the above. It's fine. He will survive.
Petition for a image accompaniment for this episode on Instagram to be a picture of one of your 8,000 bruises that you regularly have on your body.
I don't have any right now. I probably do.
You
Sure, maybe.
probably do.
We'll see.
For the record, you
Uh,
guys, I just to because that could have came off very badly. Emily famously falls and walks into things a lot, and
do you
she did
remember the one
this
I got in college over the summer, like right before school started?
like your whole leg.
Yeah, and I had to like, I was like, I had to I had like a big bump on
Oh
the
yeah, it
front of it
was
too.
disgusting.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
okay.
Riley doesn't seem to have it that bad. Also, I had it bad and I was okay. I still did stuff, so he's he should be fine.
Okay, so you were fine in college, and apparently now, and however many other times you had bruises on your body throughout your life. Could Riley have gotten through the rest of the other 30 minutes of this movie?
100%. He's fine, y'all. Like, I followed up. I watched the scenes later. He's crawling around on the platform afterwards and honestly does not seem bothered. He
Mm-mm.
actually uses his right arm to stabilize himself when he like falls forward on the platform a little bit. So I cannot emphasize this enough. He is good. Now, if we are trying to find a rationale for like why, unlike Abigail in the first film, he
Mm.
wasn't holding his shoulder.
Hmm. I have an answer. He's a worse actor.
No.
Darn. Okay. Keep going.
um because of everything that's happening that day, I believe that there is a surge of adrenaline that is
Oh, for
going
sure.
through his body. And because this happens at the end of the film, as you said, there are like 30 minutes of the film left. Honestly, Riley might feel pain the next day, like after the
Yeah.
adrenaline has worn off. But I do think it's reasonable that, like, in the moment, he was okay.
Okay. What arm was he carrying the grocery bag in at the very end of the movie?
I don't know.
If it was his right arm, could we say that he didn't actually drop it because he was like in love with the girl, but he dropped the bag because his arm hurt?
We could, but he does a lot of other stuff.
But at that point, the like you said, the adrenaline is gone.
Yeah, fair. Maybe the adrenaline returned because attractive woman.
I'm trying to create new lore here. Jeez. Okay. Should we move on?
We should.
Okay. Next time point 1 hour, 48 minutes, 32 seconds. This is, once the whole crew realizes that someone will need to stay behind in the flooding Cibola cavern, Mitch punches both Ben and Riley in the face in order to take Abigail captive.
He does that. It's not great.
I regularly forget about this.
Yeah, I remember him taking Abigail captive.
Yes, and holding
Honestly,
the
in
knife.
in the water, there's so much
Mm,
chaos.
mhm,
It's
mhm.
really hard to tell what's going on.
Yeah. This movie is dense in the injuries in the latter 30 minutes, for sure.
Definitely. Okay, so Dr. Paris, what I'm assuming you're diagnosing Ben and Riley?
Yeah, I'm gonna generalize here because, Mitch got off a pretty good shot on both of them. I think he kinda what right hook, left hook. I don't know. I wasn't actually paying attention to with the handedness of Mitch this time, which I probably should have. I was too caught up on the temperature of the River Thames in March of 2007. Um I am diagnosing our characters here, our heroes, with facial trauma.
Okay. That feels broad. Tell
Yes.
me
So
more.
facial trauma is basically a blanket way of describing any type of bone or soft tissue injury to the face. Um, you know, I would say common types of bone injury coming from fights, and I would qualify this as like a fist fight, right? Um, include like facial fractures. So if people get a broken jaw or their teeth are cracked or they get a broken eye socket, right? The skull is a pretty complex thing. And so there's a lot of different bone related problems that can come from a getting punched in the face. And then when it comes to this soft tissue injury component. This could be like a facial laceration, right? A cut on your face that frankly could get infected, especially when you're being doused with dirty lake water. Um,
Mhm.
you can also have eye injuries, right? That's soft tissue, not just the socket, but the eye itself. And you can have nerve damage. There's plenty of nerves in your face and,
Are there
head.
really?
Yes.
Says the neuroscientist. Yes, correct. Um,
Well, let me okay.
I feel like
Okay,
your
Miss
next point might might be just as straightforward.
It might be. But you know what? Since you're the expert, Miss Neuroscientist, I'm assuming you're an expert because you've been punched in the face before. Have you been punched in the face before?
No, but I teach about the facial muscles and nerves in the face.
Okay, would you like to talk about the importance of the fact that your face is so close to your head and all the problems that getting punched in the face can cause beyond just aesthetic issues to your face?
I mean, your brain's right there. It's not good.
Exactly. Yeah, so even what seems like a minor injury could end up being a big deal, right? Because you could have internal bleeding, um, reduced flow to the brain, blood clotting in the brain. We're getting back to that TBI situation a little bit here.
I was gonna
What?
say, everybody, for everyone who's watching, I look really excited as
You
Aubrey's
do.
saying these terrible things. Do you think they also had concussions?
Certainly possible. But my rule for this exercise, as Emily knows and y'all don't, is that we're not allowed to diagnose two injuries as the same, or else this would get really boring. So, yes, they probably and or could have also achieved concussions.
Achieved concussion.
Yes.
Okay, continue. What's the treatment, ma'am?
Um, it depends, of course, what the specific trauma is, right? Obviously, infections need antibiotics, and sometimes facial reconstruction surgery is necessary if you have, major damage to the bone structure, etc. Um, Typically, the facial reconstruction surgery, in this case, its main goal would be to restore normal facial functions. So, for example, if the trauma caused you to not be able to blink properly or smile or chew or talk, that's going to be the main goal of this type of procedure.
Okay. So, I mean, I didn't see blood or anything. The water, I
Yeah,
guess, could have washed it off. But, like,
true.
are can Ben and Riley make it through the next couple minutes?
Yeah, I mean, once again, assuming it wasn't a severe trauma, yes. But to be clear, if Mitch had hit Ben or Riley like square in the jaw and broke their jaw, or straight in the eye socket and damaged their vision, we could actually be looking at a very different story here.
Hmm. Well, thank you, Mitch, for avoiding those areas.
Maybe he's just not a good shot. Maybe he has bad vision and can't like
He
doesn't have good aim.
I feel like he was probably just trying to get them away, not permanently damage their faces.
It's true because if he wanted Ben to stay behind to like hold the door open, Ben would have needed to be very much alive to hold the door open.
It's true.
Which means yeah. I realize alive and loss of vision are not the same thing. Um, but
Well
he would need to be able to
done.
see where his feet are going and stuff to hold the door open.
Mm.
We're
Mhm.
getting off the rails here, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Okay, I think we only have like two more though, right?
Yep.
Um, and my last one is like my piece de resistance. I am so excited for
This
it.
is my piece de resistance, so let's go.
All right. 1 hour, 50 minutes, 34 seconds. Ben gets wedged under the trapdoor as Mitch is trying to hold it open. This one, before you even diagnose this, this might be for me the equivalent for you in the tilt platform. This stresses me out. I hate seeing him wedged under the door. Really
Mm.
bothers me.
I mean, good reason. Good reason,
Oh,
as we'll
okay. Well,
discuss.
I'm expecting something pretty dire. Dr. Black, what is your diagnosis?
Crush injury with a little
Oof.
asterisk next to it. We'll get there.
Okay. So, well, crush injuries, is it as self-explanatory as it sounds, or like what's going on here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's like things are crushed in your body.
Oh my god, gross. So gross. I can't.
All
Ew.
all things.
And
All sorts of things.
this door looks heavy.
So, this is where I got really into it for some reason. So,
You're so
let me
gross.
walk you through what we're talking about. First of all, I want to point out that this scene is really hard to figure anything out during because the water sloshing everywhere, the camera half the time is like half underwater. There's a lot going on. Okay.
Mm.
Also, at one point, Riley, and I need everyone to go watch for this now, it's around this time frame. Riley is standing in the background right before Ben is wedged under the door. And everybody's trying to figure stuff out, and Riley's just going, he's just like looking around confused and angry, and I'm like, bro, you're just standing there. This door that Ben gets trapped under does not appear to be made of wood.
No, it's
Okay.
totally
So
stone.
if the idea, right, that is purported in the film is that Mount Rushmore was built as a cover-up for Cibola, it makes sense that this door might have been made from the same material as Mount Rushmore. Now, Cibola is said to be constructed from the native rock masonry of the area. And the native rock that is at Mount Rushmore is known as Harney Peak granite.
Uh-huh.
So we are going to assume that this is what the door is made of. Okay?
Okay. Yeah.
Next step. It is hard to get a clear picture of the entirety of the door. You don't actually get one at any single point, but we get a good glimpse of where the top of the door might be very briefly. And we can see that it forms this kind of like trapezoid at the top, which gives it a little more height. But the
Mhm.
trapezoid is a fairly, like the angles are not that sharp. Like it's almost a rectangle. It just like tapers off a little bit at the top. Okay. And so I figured this out because there's this clip where Patrick is standing on the same level as the door,
Mhm.
which I say that because they need to like get up steps to like get to the level of the door, which I didn't realize at first.
Didn't realize that either. And also, are you about to use John Voight as a measuring stick like I have done in the past to estimate the depth of the Parkington Lane pit?
Mm-hmm.
Yes! Okay, when did you turn it to me?
Okay, so Patrick's standing on the same level of the door right in front of it, and then using the proportions and John Voight's height, I did a bunch of math. The door is probably around 7.7 feet tall. Tall
Yep,
door.
buy it.
For the width, okay, at one point before it, like when it's on his arm, right?
Mhm.
We see Ben basically with the door sitting on his shoulder, but because of the way that it's resting on his shoulder, I don't get the impression that the width of the door is more than the length of his shoulder to his elbow,
Okay.
which in men from the Western Hemisphere is an average of 14.4 inches. So, rounding down, let's say it's a foot thick. Okay, so
Okay.
we have 7.7 feet tall door, a foot thick. Then we got to do the length. Using, once again, my proportion from John Voight's height, I was able to figure out that the length of the door was about 4.5 feet long. So I went ahead and calculated the volume of what I'm now going to refer to as this granite slab.
Yep, as one does.
And it is 93.7 cubic feet.
Wow.
Now, on average, a cubic foot of granite, according to the internet, weighs 170 pounds. That means that this door weighs 15,929 pounds.
This is 16,000 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is peak National Treasure Hunt. Keep going, man. Keep going. Bring it home.
So I found a report from OSHA, which is
Mhm.
Occupational Health and Safety, about a miner who was crushed to death by a 1,000-pound force. So it's almost 16 times that for Ben.
Ugh.
Uh, So this crush injury would have been crushing indeed. Everything would have shattered in his arm and shoulder, and honestly, probably elsewhere because of the reverberations from that shattering.
I Uh, sorry, I'm speechless. I will never look at this scene the same again. I already was very peeved out by it. Now I'm like extremely grossed out. Um, is can you treat this?
I don't know. Some options I came up with are amputation, restoring
Uh,
blood flow, revival of consciousness from the pain. I don't know.
oh my god, y'all, this is the reason why we're now on YouTube. You haven't seen me writhing in like pretend mental pain and anguish for the last 5 minutes. Oh my god. So I guess yeah, I'll just ask you to maybe state the obvious. Should should the character should Ben have been able to go on with the rest of the movie even though it was like 5 more minutes?
No. Um, his arm would be shattered. And that's assuming he didn't die on impact, which honestly, I feel like he probably would have. So I don't even know that Ben would like survive to the end of the movie, not just like be able to do what he did.
Okay, I'm so grossed out right now. But honestly, snaps, claps, well done. I don't know who you are or what you have done with Emily Black, but that was some real deep divey nonsense, and I'm here for
Thank
it.
you.
So thank you.
Okay, so I was promised a pièce de résistance from you as well, so let's hear it.
You know what? And I feel like this is they're gonna balance out. Your big moment and my big moment are gonna balance out in terms of like our level of gross out and optimism for our characters. Okay.
Okay.
So, I remember that the reason I used Patrick Gates as a measuring stick was because I wanted to see whether or not Shaw would have died in the Parkington Lane pit.
Mhm.
Our token death in the first National Treasure movie. So I thought it only fair to revisit our token death in National Treasure too. Um,
Mitch.
Mitch indeed. So this is 1 hour, 51 minutes, 33 seconds. Ben is somehow still alive, apparently, and he is swept out of the door through into the drainage tunnel, and the door closes behind him, and Mitch is left for dead.
Mhm. What's your diagnosis? I mean, it's obvious.
Drowning slash death. Death by drowning.
Water.
However, did he die? Would he have actually died? We have talked about this before, but we've never examined it.
I want to Aubrey, don't leave me and the people hanging.
Okay, well, if you insist. Once this passageway is closed, Mitch should have, right? If there's any survival instincts here whatsoever, he should have tried working his way back up to the main cavern of Cibola. We actually know Cibola is very large and very tall
Yeah.
when we get our big reveal. So we need to know how long it would have taken for the cavern, this whole big Cibola cavern, to fill up to know whether Mitch actually would have drowned. So this introduces the question, how big is the cavern? So in order to estimate this, I had to do a very close watch of our Cibola reveal.
Mm.
Um, and as you probably remember, especially from our like analyzing the treasure and its value in National Treasure 2 exercise from many seasons ago, we're mostly looking at some like large, I'm going to call them like Mayan style pyramids.
Mhm.
So Mayan pyramids, they do vary in size, but if you're going to go for an average, they're typically 30 to 70 meters or 100 to 230 feet in height. And we
Okay.
see at least 4 of them.
Mm.
It's basically like you can see one on each wall if you're envisioning the cavern as a room with some space in between them. But again, this is a guesstimate because it's all we can see clearly. You know how the cinematography works, it kind of fades blacker and you don't know if you're looking at a wall or more depth.
Mhm.
So let's say there's at least half a pyramid's worth of space next to each pyramid because there is space spacing them apart. All right, let's continue. One of the most famous Mayan pyramids in the world is Chichen Itza. It's your prototypical Mayan pyramid, and many others exist that look similar to it in different locations. Chichen Itza has a square base length of 55 meters or 182 feet. So, with all of this geography of the cavern, the smallest possible dimensions of this space, if it is square and there is truly only one pyramid on each side, is 110 meters or 364 feet on each side.
It's pretty big.
Indeed. Now that means, right? Because we're basing this off of the distance of along the walls is based on the length of a pyramid and then plus half a pyramid's worth of space on either side of it. Then we discussed the height of these pyramids, and this taken together means that the smallest possible volume for this cavern, if the height is the exact height of a pyramid, which it is not, it is actually taller, would be 70 times 110 times 110 or 848,000 cubic meters or about 30 million cubic feet or, and this is going to become important, 224 million gallons.
What?
Yes. And obviously, gallons is not something you would typically use to measure like air space, but
Mhm.
we are filling it with what, Emily?
The villain, water.
That indeed. And I personally don't mind measuring water in gallons. So, we now know how much space needs to be filled with water in order to drown Mitch. How fast would it happen? This is the conundrum, right? Because water is pouring in from multiple parts in the room. Does this like ring a bell?
Oh, yeah. No, I watched all the scenes.
So, okay, so we need to basically predict the flow rate of the water, right? To get us a time. Think dimensional analysis. People who took like chemistry at some point in your lives, you need to cross out the volume and get to the time isolated as your
Mhm.
unit of measurement. So, I want to make some comparisons here to flow rates people might be familiar with to give you a comparison point. So, if the flow rate in Cibola is equivalent to like household tap water, this is going to be way underestimate, but I want to give you a sense. That would be about 12 gallons per minute or 720 gallons per hour on the faster side. It would then take almost 13,000 days to fill this minimum possible size of Cibola.
Hmm.
But do you think the flow rate in Cibola is that of a kitchen sink?
No, it was much faster.
Exactly. So let's go that's the low end of the spectrum. Let's talk high end of the spectrum. Let's talk about the flow rate of the Mississippi River.
Is that fast?
Oh, yes, it is more than 60 million cubic meters per hour.
Gosh.
If that was the rate we were working with here, it would take less than a minute to fill Cibola.
Oh, they would all be dead.
So obviously, and that's how we know, right? Our characters are spending plenty of time in here, and it's not even close to filling up. So we know the flow rate is somewhere between household water and the Mississippi River. So let's get to an actual answer. That was kind of just for fun to give you guys a sense of flow rates. Let's approximate each water spillage site into Cibola as a fire hydrant. Have you ever either seen in real life or like in a movie a broken fire hydrant spewing
Mhm.
water? Kind
Yep.
of looks like one of the Cibola waterfalls, doesn't it?
I could see it, yeah.
So a decently pressured fire hydrant's flow rate is 1,500 gallons per minute. So it would take one fire hydrant almost 104 days to fill Cibola. But there was
Okay.
more than one waterfall.
Mhm.
Let's say there were 10 waterfalls, which would be a flow of 15,000 gallons per minute into Cibola. It would have taken 10 and a half days to fill.
Hmm.
And if we double that to 20 waterfalls, your flow is going to be 30,000 gallons a minute, and it would take you just over 5 days to fill.
Okay.
And
Okay.
and this is, we're looking at fiction here, but for the record, our recent interview with publicist Michael Singer revealed that in real life, the Cibola set was filling at a rate of 45,000 gallons per minute, so my guesstimate isn't actually that bad.
Ah, very nice.
And I do want it on the record that I did all this math before we talked to him. So,
Yes, you did.
all right. So, where are we at here? We have our between 5 and 10 days to fill, and we know that the cavern is bigger than this minimum that I've calculated. So, could Mitch have survived? Yes. I actually think he did. I find it
Okay.
very, very hard to believe that it took anyone involved in this hunt more than a week to get back into the cavern. So if Mitch
Hmm.
climbed back up, he would have lived. National Treasure 3, anyone?
Do you think he could have climbed back up with the running water? Like with how fast it was?
Yeah, because it wasn't covering every surface. So he would have had to climb one of the pyramids on the side wall and just sit on the top of it.
So we have now uncovered a situation where in this film, Mitch should have lived and Ben should have died.
Um, this is might be one of the crazier conclusions we've ever come to, but I do want to say, like, mathematically, we both used a lot of math in our analyses. Mathematically, I think we're kind of valid.
Yeah, I mean, if any of y'all want to do some math,
Yeah.
please feel free to fact check us. Like, let us know.
But seriously, like, the implications here, I don't think they're going to do this in a third movie because I don't think the creators think
No.
that Mitch is alive. But realistically, how fun would it be to see an Ian Mitch tag team as our villains in the third movie?
Hmm.
We never even thought
Interesting.
of that. So,
Plus
okay,
water.
of course. I mean, sidekick, right? Um, I want you all, as we are wrapping up this episode today, all of our listeners out there, to tell us, did Mitch survive? I mean, we know Ben did, so I can't ask you, did Ben die? But what I can ask you is, based on our analysis, do you think Mitch survived? Why or why not? I want you to tell us online.
Yes, please go ahead. You can tell us on social media. Find us on X and Instagram at NT Podcast, our website, nthunpodcast.com. Please go ahead and leave us a rating and review. And whether you'll watch us there or not, please subscribe to us on YouTube.
Please do. Okay, you guys, we have another episode coming for you in a week. I know we've been very episode heavy this season, but it's been very fun for us. We hope it's been for you. Our next episode, surprise, it's our second National Treasure in Real Life episode of season 12. We know they came pretty close together this season, but in some ways I think it could be for the best because we are going to continue on from our conversation in our last NTIRL, which was on The Curse of Oak Island seasons 1 and 2. We're following it up next week with The Curse of Oak Island seasons 3 and 4. We're going to see if Emily likes it any better now that our characters theoretically have a direction for their treasure hunt, or do they? Or do they?
You'll have to come back to find out.
Yeah, Emily doesn't even know yet because she definitely didn't watch the episodes yet.
Nope.
So you guys can literally watch them along with her if you want to be, watched up and ready to go for this next episode. You have been forewarned. But until then, I'm Aubrey.
And I'm Emily.
And thank you so much for joining us on our National Treasure Hunt.